Hello viewers, welcome to AQ Military and Geopolitics. As the largest American military force in over 2 decades assembles in the Middle East, is a full-scale ground invasion of Iran now inevitable? Or are we witnessing a high-stakes game of military brinkmanship that is destined to collapse into a regional inferno? It is now March 29, 2026, and according to the latest reports, the prelude to this conflict is over. While the world watches for the first signs of a ground assault, the war itself has already been raging for exactly 1 month. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched a massive, coordinated wave of joint military strikes across the Islamic Republic, Iran, an opening salvo that reportedly killed Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and several senior officials. These strikes targeted ballistic missile production facilities, command centers, and critical infrastructure, including the Kharg Island desalination plant and the South Pars gas field. This campaign, commanded by President Donald Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, signaled the end of diplomacy as the primary tool of engagement. Yet the most ominous development is not the smoke over Tehran, but the unprecedented concentration of forces currently surrounding Iran's borders. The scale of this military buildup is staggering. It marks the most significant deployment of U.S. air, naval, and ground power in the Middle East since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. The U.S. Navy has moved 2 massive carrier strike groups into the region. Carrier Strike Group 3, led by the USS Abraham Lincoln, and Carrier Strike Group 12, led by the USS Gerald R. Ford. These floating fortresses are supported by guided missile destroyers and cruisers, carrying a lethal array of F-35C Lightning IIs and F/A-18E Super Hornets. Additionally, the amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli has arrived, described by analysts as a floating assault base, carrying Marine Expeditionary Units and specialized landing craft for amphibious operations. In the skies, over 150 U.S. aircraft are now active, including the first ever deployment of offensive F-22 Raptor stealth fighters to Israel's Ovda Air Base. On the ground, thousands of troops from the elite 82nd Airborne Division have been positioned to deploy worldwide within 18 hours. Their mission? To execute parachute assaults against defended airfields and prepare the battlefield for possible ground operations. Despite this overwhelming presence, it must be emphasized that a full-scale ground invasion of Iran has not yet happened. The White House and Secretary of State Marco Rubio have maintained that the United States believes it can achieve its goals, including dismantling nuclear programs and even regime change, without a prolonged ground war. However, the Pentagon is reportedly preparing for weeks-long ground operations. These include specialized raids on Kharg Island, the strategic hub through which 90% of Iran's oil exports pass. Such missions could involve special operations forces and conventional infantry, conducting targeted strikes to seize critical facilities and neutralize anti-ship missile batteries along the coast. Military analysts warn that these operations would be significantly more dangerous than the initial month of airstrikes, because this time, U.S. soldiers would face direct ground resistance, improvised explosives, and Iran's Mosaic defense, a system backed by nearly 1 million mobilized fighters. President Trump has stated that he is not putting troops anywhere. Yet, White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt clarified that the Pentagon's job is to provide the president with maximum options, should he choose to escalate. Iran, however, has not backed down. Instead, it has adopted a strategy of unrestrained escalation. Within the first 24 hours, Tehran expanded the war by launching missile and drone strikes across 9 countries, including Israel, Jordan, Iraq, and several Gulf states. These attacks have already taken a heavy toll. Approximately 150 U.S. service members were wounded in the first 10 days. Meanwhile, Iranian strikes have damaged airports, hotels, and critical oil infrastructure across the region. Tehran has made it clear it will rely on asymmetric warfare, using swarms of cheap, lethal drones and fast attack boats to counter U.S. technological superiority. The new Supreme Leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, has warned that new fronts could be opened and that U.S. warships could be sent to the bottom of the sea. This escalation is now spreading through regional proxies. Yemen's Houthis have launched cruise missiles at Israel and attacked commercial shipping in the Red Sea. Meanwhile, Hezbollah has intensified drone and rocket strikes, triggering a large-scale Israeli offensive in Lebanon. The global consequences are already severe. The Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical oil choke point, is now effectively closed to most traffic. This single disruption has removed nearly 20% of global oil supply from the market. Economic shockwaves are spreading worldwide. Oil prices are surging, markets are panicking, and global growth is slowing down. Countries like Pakistan are already facing energy pressure and may be forced into emergency measures, including rationing and austerity. The Middle East is rapidly turning into a no-go zone, with shipping routes collapsing and maritime distress signals increasing. In the middle of this chaos, Pakistan has emerged as a critical mediator. Maintaining official neutrality, Islamabad is positioning itself as a diplomatic bridge between Washington and Tehran. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir are engaged in intense shuttle diplomacy, meeting both sides to find a way out of this escalating conflict. This has allowed it to deliver proposals and push for a ceasefire framework. As we move into April 2026, the world now stands at a crossroads. Two very different futures lie ahead. In one scenario, peace talks succeed, tensions de-escalate, and negotiations resume, leading to stability and the reopening of global trade routes. But in the second scenario, the situation takes a darker turn. The Pentagon authorizes a final blow. US forces move in, and a full-scale regional war begins. A conflict that could last for years and pull major global powers into direct confrontation. The difference between peace and catastrophe now hangs by a thread. What do you think is the only way to stop this war before it spreads further? Share your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for the next update on this developing crisis.